for thanks for doing the interview and everything, and working everything out and
No, no
being on
problem.
time.
I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
All right, just a few questions really. I'm going to start off just a little bit of history about yourself and then get into God Save the King
Okay.
release. So, I mean, going back, uh, what was the first track that led you to start listening to hip hop?
Hip hop period.
Yeah,
Oh man, I mean, it would have been back in 1991. That's when I started rhyming, and back then we weren't recording songs. We were just writing songs. I was like 13 years old, so I didn't have studio access just yet. So we would just write songs, write verses, go to school, battle, gig verses at school. I met up with a friend eventually who had a studio, who had like a kid who lived in my neighborhood who had like a little studio, and we'd record there, like record freestyles. But that was basically it, man. I eventually got a karaoke machine, and that's how I learned how to do multi-track recording. Like I would
right.
record, I would put a tape in there with the beat, and I would say lines and leave blank lines, and then I would go back in and put the tape that I had just recorded with the beat and with half of the lines, put that in the play tape, and then put another tape in the recorder, and then fill in the blanks. And I figured that out from listening to Redman, what the album, like I just peeped out how he did all the multi-track stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, what led you to want to rap?
I didn't want to rap. It was accidental.
Right.
It was. I was a fan of rap since 1988 when I lived in Florida. And when I lived in Florida, the neighborhood was pretty much, yeah, it was probably more white of a neighborhood than anything else. It was like whites, Latinos, and blacks, but more white. But when we moved to Ohio, I was the only white kid in the neighborhood. So my friends that I had, like Jakai and those people, like would mess around recording skits. Jakai and his brother and his cousins, and he was just beating on the table just like this one day, and we just started freestyling, and people in the neighborhood heard it, and said it was good, even though I'm sure it wasn't, and that kind of egged us on to keep going.
Yeah.
So it was totally accidental, and after that I was encouraged. I thought maybe I could do this, and we just kept doing it, kept writing, and stuff just kept getting better. We were getting good pretty fast for kids, for like 13, 14-year-olds. We
Uh-huh.
sounded pretty decent.
Oh, cool. All right. So, forward a few years, 95, you formed Megahertz. How did that all start, and how did RJD2 become involved?
uh well, Megahertz. Okay, first we were in a crew called Opium Prodigy, and that was with me, Jakai, Illogic, uh, just a lot of cats from Columbus, like a lot of cats that we went to high school with, and so we ended up getting split up, like just personal differences. Other people that were bigger in Columbus wanted to work with other cats. Only they just wanted to work with Camus because Camus' delivery was right. He sounded like he was ready, whereas the rest of us really didn't have delivery. We sounded like we were reading off the paper. So other people got mad about that. So they didn't want to, you know, they just were like, well, why doesn't he want to work with me? It was this cat named the Intellect. He's like he's the pioneer of Columbus hip hop. Like he's basically the cat in Columbus who was the first cat who I heard who had like stuff that sounded like it could have been out. Like he taught me and Camus how to make beats. He taught everybody in Columbus who knows how to make beats, basically, learned from Intellect in a roundabout way. Whether it be from me, whether it be from Camus, we learned from Intellect, and they learned from us.
Yeah.
So we split up, and it was just me and Camus at first in Megahertz. Megahertz was my name that I made up for my other homeboys, but they didn't like the name. So I was like, all right, I'll use it. I like it. So we ended up just adding more people to the crew. And at first RJ wasn't in it. We hadn't even met RJ yet or Elliot Tage. But one night we had a show and our DJ didn't show up. So RJ was there. We met RJ and he kind of filled in for us. He wasn't even making beats yet at this point.
Right.
He was just a DJ. But he played instruments already. He comes from a musical background. His parents are musicians. And we bonded, man. He liked the same music we liked. He liked Kool Keith. He liked just a lot of the same music we liked, man. And we just became instantly cool and just started working. And then when he started making beats, his first beat was pretty good. And his first beat was an indication, I think, of where he was going to go with production.
Yeah.
Because the first beat he ever made was for a Tage solo song called Contagion. It was like in 94, 95. And the beat, in the middle of the beat, like the loop slowed down. Like if you were to hit stop on the SP12 or on the Technique 12s. And then the note that it stopped at, the beat proceeded and picked back up at that. And it was crazy. I'd never heard anybody do anything like that. So like his first beat ever was on some next stuff. Like he was already thinking super advanced and wasn't trying to, just have boom bap beats. He was already doing other crazy stuff with beats, like his first one. So that was it, man. And then other people like just started dropping like flies for Megahertz. Like it was 9 of us, and eventually it just turned into like me and Camus and Tage and RJ. And then after we put out our first single, I got cool with Chikai again, and I kind of forced him to get into Megahertz because he never wanted to rap. He never wanted to be famous. He never wanted to put music out to the world like that. But I kind of was like, get on this song, which was Rocket Science, our second single on Fondle. And after that, he was kind of addicted to it. He just kind of got, he was addicted to people giving him props and addicted to people hearing his verses and putting his music out there. So that's it.
Okay, I've read, and you mentioned in the past, you never intended on doing solo work. What happened to change that?
DJ Mighty Mai, Mighty Mai from High and Mighty?
Yeah.
He didn't want to work with Megahertz. He only wanted to work with me. So I had to do solo stuff to get my crew in the door. So that was it.
All right.
Yeah, the first solo song I ever wrote in my life was Holier Than Thou, which was my first Raucous single. So yeah, man, I had no intentions whatsoever.
So coming back up to more recent times, how did you link up with Man Bite Dogs Records?
I met RML, which is the CEO of Man Bites Dog, through he was promoting shows, and that's how I met him. At first, he didn't have his label situation ready to go, but we kept a relationship, and over the years, it just worked out. Things were, just worked out, man. Things just started. He got his distro, and things were just happening, and it just organically happened and started to make sense. And I'd been working with him on other stuff, through collabs and things like that. So I knew he was a good dude, man. So everything worked out, man.
Okay. All right. So earlier this year, you released "God Save the King," and this week you dropped a UK version. How did the album start life, and why the two different versions?
Originally, the idea was to make only the UK version, based on. It was centered around the Sex Pistols title.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing. We were like, well, let's make something where I get to collab with some UK MCs who I think are dope, because everybody separated the two so much, and it was annoying to me because in this day and age, there's no separation like that. Like the internet is a bridge so to speak. You know, like there's nothing is separated really. We speak the same language. I've been working with Rhyme Asylum. I've been working with Creative. So you know, my one of the first singles I put out was Creatively Wise with Creative from Denmark back in like 98, 99. So I had already had a love for overseas cats because
Yeah.
I toured in 99. You know, like I'd been out there. Typhoon, Sonny from Boulevard Connection, DJ Noise. These are my homeboys, you know. So I did the Fat Milk Anthem in 99. So I had already saw that they had a lot of skill out there as MCs. So we started working on that. And then you know, the collapse with the UK MCs, and then other songs started progressing, and I ended up having like 40 songs. So we just figured I'll do a regular album, like a copyright normal album, and then we'll do the God Save the King concept with the UK cats. And we just figured, well, let's just put out the regular one first, and then we'll put out the UK joint. And it just kind of, you know, it kind of made sense. Nobody did that before.
Yeah.
And I tend to make more songs than I need. Like I make a lot of songs, so you know, it just kind of worked out, man.
All right.
I think it's a smart idea. I think it's dope because nobody's ever done it before. You know, I like doing original, little random stuff like that, man. It keeps things interesting for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to see UK artists getting some shine stateside. I know a lot of the underground recognise UK, but there's still a lot of people out there that don't look beyond the US. So it's nice to see you're helping in that way.
Well, and the US has the most. The US is the like. Our radio sucks.
Yeah.
You know, the UK loves underground hip hop. Loves it the way that the underground loves it. So, like, you know, it's ridiculous for the U.S. to do that because the U.S. is the one who plays all the games. The U.S. is the one that plays the name games. You got to pay for this. You know, like, it's like, why are you? It's just crazy, man. So, yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I know what you mean.
All right. So how would you describe the release to somebody that hadn't heard it yet?
Well, which one? The UK version? The
Yeah,
proper English
we'll say
version?
the UK version.
I would tell them that it's super raw, man. Like it's raw, like it's kind of raw, like High Exalted. It's got, you know, a lot of features on it. It's got Genesis Elijah. It's just raw. It's witty. It's just like a lot of battle stuff, a lot of metaphors, and just like just raw hip hop, man. Like hip hop in its purest form. It's not a lot of. It's not like Life and Times. It's not like real heartfelt. It has its moments, but it's not real heartfelt, and it's not like the original GSK. It's just like more like High Exalted. You know, it's just like a bunch of just metaphors and just MCs going for theirs, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, everybody on there from Inspector Deck to Braids to Biggs to Genesis Elijah to, you know, Billy the Kid. It's just murder. Everybody's just trying to rock the mic, man.
So how long has that taken to come together? Because I mean, there's quite a lot of features.
Oh, and shout out to Royce59 and Crooked Eye for you know, for being a part of it, man. Because, you know, yeah, I'm definitely a supporter of Slaughterhouse, and
Yeah.
it was dope. It was dope for them to be a part of this project.
Definitely, it looks good. So how long did this take to pull together? Keeping in mind there's so many features on it. It's not like you just get everybody in the studio one weekend and...
It just kind of happened, man. It just kind of happens. It just happens. Just, you know, just do the song, send the joint. Some of them, I did the joint with Crooked Eye in the studio with him. So, you know,
Yeah.
and shout out to Eminem too. I don't know Eminem, but I know Eminem. Yeah. So and shout out to Bazaar, man. All those cats are good people, man. I got a lot of respect for those cats. The whole Detroit hip hop scene. Yeah. Anybody who's making hip hop raw, you know, like how it should be, I got a lot of respect for them.
All right. I'm big fan of the album. It's still in the car. I've really got to get it out and review it for the website. But what's the general feedback been like?
Everybody seems to like it. All the critics seem to like it. I got an XL from Double XL. It's my second XL rating in a row, so that's dope. The magazines dig it. The fans dig it. That's cool, man. I mean, really, I really make it for me first. I don't. When I'm making it, I'm enjoying it. Like I'm enjoying it. I figure if I like it, a few people at least will like it, because I'm a pretty tough critic. I'm hard on my own music and everybody else's music. So I make it for me first, and whoever else likes it, it's a bonus.
In your opinion, where do you rate this release in your discography?
It's pretty high up there, man. I like it a lot. I like all my albums. I like High Exalted a lot. I like Life and Times a lot. I like this a lot. It's you know what? When I first made it, I was saying it's my favorite, and I mean, it's pretty high up there. I mean, I love it. I still listen to it. I could still listen to it, and not really skip around through it.
Yeah.
But my three albums are they're like three of my kids that I like equally for different reasons. Like, I love High Exalted because I was young. I just wanted to show the world that I had rhymes. I like Life and Times because it was when everything in my life was falling apart, and I was using music as therapy, and I was just kind of like holding on to sanity by a string, and I was just doing what I wanted, and I feel like I was showing the world all the growth that I had done as a person and musically, and I feel like people didn't know to expect Life and Times. They thought I was going to make another High Exalted, and then I feel like with God Save the King, people didn't know what the hell I was going to make. They didn't know if I was going to make a High Exalted or a Life and Times. But I feel like every album should be different. I'm never, ever, ever going to make two of the same albums. That's boring. I have way too many ideas for that. That's boring. That's boring as hell. If somebody wants another High Exalted, go listen to High Exalted. You cheapen it by making two of the same thing.
Yeah. All right. Can we expect to see you over in the UK anytime soon?
Yeah, I'll definitely be in Malmo, Sweden in October. And I've only got one show out there right now, so I'm trying to get some other shows together while I'm out there, because I don't want to come out there just for one show. And I got some other stuff in the works, but I don't know how it's going to pan out. But yeah, and I'm working with the homie from Don't Flop, so I'm probably going to be out there in August also for some shows. So yeah, if any promoters want to get at me and talk about that, just hit me up on Twitter. It's easy. It's just Copywrite, real simple. Just add Copywrite, WRITE. We can make it happen.
Okay. I'll wrap it up because we're getting on a bit here. What does the rest of 2012 hold for you?
We're putting out the Megahertz debut, official Megahertz debut. Me and Jakai and RJ and Tage working on that. So that'll should drop in October.
Is there anything you can tell us about that?
It's going to be, every time I make a project, I'm trying to make it better than the last project. So I mean, and it's way different because RJ's doing a bunch of the beats, and it's three MCs. We got a bunch of Camus verses also, but it's four MCs for the most part. It's just dope, man. It's not a copyright album. It's Megahertz, so you're not just getting me. You're getting Tage Future, Camus Teo, and Tage and Jakai the Motormouth. So I mean, we got a lot of dope surprises on there. We're definitely trying to make a classic. I'm definitely trying to shut down God Save the King. I'm trying to just make the illest album that I ever made, and it's easier because we have four different minds instead of just little old me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it should be dope, man. It should be really dope.
All right. Is there anything else you want to add?
That's it, man. Just hit me up on Twitter for my fans want to holler at me. Hit me up. I want to say praise the Lord Jesus Christ, and that's about it, man. Cop God Save the King, man. Cop my entire discography. And I want to thank you for doing the interview with me, man.
No, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Appreciate it.